All right, you guys, today we are going to practice a little bit with some shading exercises. So we're going to go ahead and do, actually, let's start off with hatching and cross hatching. So first thing you're going to want to do is start off with something that you can make a circle with. And I actually have a compass, but if you don't have a compass, you could use anything that is circular to trace. And a lot of times I'll just kind of freehand draw a circle too, and that's fine. So for the sake of maybe that you don't have a compass, let's go ahead and just try to draw a circle. All right, so right now I'm just kind of lightly sketching in with a pencil. I'm using a 2H pencil to sketch in my circle. I'm making it kind of small, like the size of a quarter. And matter of fact, if you have a quarter, you could trace a quarter for this exercise. And that would work fine. All right, so I have my light circle sketched in right there. And now what I'm gonna do is show you the different types of pens. So right here, this is actually just a micron pen. These are great for shading, but if you don't have one of these, you can actually just use a ballpoint pen. Ballpoint pen is gonna work fine for this exercise. I actually have two different sizes here. This is a 0.7 and this is a 0.5. Either one works. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with the ballpoint pen because probably have a ballpoint pen at home. And there's no need to actually order a new pen just for this exercise. Now, maybe after this exercise, you'll decide, hey, I really like shading a lot. It's a good way to just like kill time and collect my thoughts. And it's relaxing. And you're gonna be like, hey, I need to buy some good pens for this. And you could do that. But to be honest, a lot of my pen drawings still are created just using Uniball pens. And I actually been using Uniball Vision Elite pens since I was in college. And that was like 20 years ago. So it's been a while. Yeah, I know. I don't need to remind myself of that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a light source. I'm going to grab my pencil again, and I'm going to go ahead and put my light source over here. I'm just going to draw like a little cartoon lamp or spotlight. What this helps me figure out is where the light's actually hitting this circle, which is going to eventually be a sphere. So I'm going to actually just kind of draw in a little ellipse up here. And when I do that, it almost kind of creates this olive looking thing. I say olive, maybe it looks like an eyeball to you, but I really just like olives a lot. So we're saying olive. Even though it is the morning right now and it's freezing outside, and I'm not really thinking about eating olives. Olives are definitely one of my go-to snacks. It's weird, I know, but I'm okay with that. So the next step is I'm going to hatch, and not like hatching an egg. We're hatching, making little hatch marks. And you'll see I'm just kind of lightly sketching out little hatch marks. You can actually follow along with this if you like. And I'm going a little slower today than usual. So I figure this is a good skill to practice. And I kind of have my base tone right there, just kind of building this like little kind of crescent type shape. And I can see here, I could maybe need to extend some of these lines out a little further. That's fine. And if I really wanted to go a lot darker with this, I could even bring some of these lines out like way past the midpoint. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now, mine are kind of like little dotted lines now because I'm just extending it out a little bit further. I'm going to show that it's getting lighter towards the middle of this sphere. Is I'm going to go ahead and draw lines going in, but only about halfway up my previous line. I don't want them to go up all the way in that space. If I do that, I'm essentially just kind of shading in the whole circle, and I really don't want to do that. I want to show this gradual change in tone with my hatching. So I want to show that it's gradually getting darker as it gets down towards the bottom. So if I want to make it a little bit darker down towards the base, now I'm going to go up halfway of the previous line. So these are even shorter hatch marks, just making little tiny hatch marks going all the way around. And it's kind of weird. You're like, wait, why are you going all the way up across the top? Well, because the light is kind of hitting more towards the front of this, that means there's going to be a little bit of a shadow back here, and maybe even a little bit of a shadow here because it's hitting more right here towards this top right-hand corner of the sphere versus back here. So I need to come back down here. I forgot this bottom area. I'm just concentrating more lines in. Getting it darker. Oh, I missed a spot there. And it's kind of bringing those lines up and around. And I like to use that term crescent. When I say crescent, I'm actually referring to the moon. So think about that sliver, that crescent moon shape. You're kind of creating that kind of shape when you're shading something like a sphere. You're showing that curvature of the actual sphere. So at this point, there's a couple of things I can do. I can add in more shadow, make it darker down here towards the bottom. I could also kind of look at my midtones and maybe drag some of them up a little more. And this is where I have to be very patient because sometimes less is more and I don't want to overdo it with my shadow. Just kind of filling in a few gaps here and there. I'm not doing any cross hatching because some of you are probably like, well, wait, aren't you supposed to draw lines across in the other direction? No, not for this. This one just focuses on lines that are going really just kind of in one direction. It's a much faster way of shading. And actually a lot of times when I do shade, I will actually start off just with hatching or cross contour and not do any cross hatching till much later in my drawings. So what I'm doing now, I'm drawing a little ellipse. I'm trying to kind of replicate where that light would hit. So I'm kind of eyeballing this right now. You could use a ruler, but trying to figure out, okay, where would this shadow be? So I have my shadow there. Just erasing away that guideline, erasing away a few more guidelines here, cleaning up the edges. Okay, so that would be hatching. All right, you guys, and you know, keep practicing, keep doodling. The more you do this, the easier this is gonna get. You're gonna get better. And then once you've practiced this a few times, you can apply this to your drawings, whether you're doing doodles, monsters, portraits. You can hatch just about any type of pen or pencil drawing.